Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by TheLines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we've got some play-up props here for you guys on a Tuesday. 7 games in the NBA tonight. Another great night in the player props episode, 3-1. Nice little 7-1 over the last 2. I believe that makes it 3-1, 4-0, 3-1 right now in the last 3 days here with these player props. So definitely want to continue to follow along. Subscribe to that page. We've also got best bets up with sides and totals looks for you guys. So check that out as well each and every weekday alongside these props. Nate, let's go ahead and jump right into your first look here for Tuesday night.
Yeah, I guess it was somewhere you were going first too, and you've since taken another pick, but it's Zubac. Over 14.5 points is the preferred play for me, although like adding the 12 rebounds to go 26.5. PR is just fine, considering how he's crushed this team on the glass the last 2 meetings, but now the Lakers just have Jackson Hayes down there, and you mean solid defender, but it's not like Zoo hasn't put up numbers against solid defenders this year. In fact, it's just like as long as he gets the minutes, he's been getting buckets. His last 8 unders against this number have been because he played under 29 minutes, and he got to exactly 14 in an easy win at Charlotte that we identified as like not a big Clippers spot. This is a big Clippers spot, of course. It's home against the Lakers, against a shorthanded Lakers team that, again, his last matchup he had 21-19 with 8 O-Rebs against as a starting line of AD, Rui, Max Christie, and LeBron. So like they just went big. They still couldn't deal with Zubac. The previous January, 22-19 with 10 O-Rebs against AD. So I'm not worried about the matchup. And I like the points because with Kawhi back, like the Clippers now have an offense where you're just trying to put out fires. And then all of a sudden at the back end, Zubac is just finishing stuff. And you look at it, with Kawhi this season now 17.2 and 14.5 rebounds, over in 7-11. The unders are basically the blowouts. Paint touches are up to about 10 per game in his last 6. He's scoring 1.2 points per paint touch compared to like 0.9 in December, 0.8 in November. So again, it's Kawhi back. It's the defense being sucked out a little bit to deal with that mid-range. And then you got Harden and Powell as more problems to deal with. And Zoo just finishing a lot of stuff because, even if they're not feeding him, like he's cleaning up on the offensive glass, and that's where the Lakers are going to be vulnerable here, probably going forward unless they are able to make another trade for a center.
Yeah, this is an easy one with Zubac. As soon as we saw whoever's playing center against this Lakers team right now, especially someone who's going to dominate the offensive glass against a team that is struggling to defend the offensive glass for the Lakers. And we'll see whatever the Lakers are able to bring tonight. But I think that the Clippers are up big in this one by the end of the third quarter, in part because Zubac has helped put them away early and then probably early in the third quarter as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of points in time where he's dominating the others, the down low, basically. But let's go to another pick here. I was going to look at PJ Washington. He is out, so you cannot bet on him against that 76ers Mavs game. But I do love Kristaps on the first quarter points once again, and we can still get 5.5. You got to drink some of the juice there. It's minus 130. You can take like plus 110 for over 6.5. Don't love it quite as much. I mean, the man is averaging 6.9 points per game in the first quarter on the season, which is very nice. He's also averaging a lot more than that since he's come back from injury here in the last roughly 12 games now that he's been back, since he had a little stint on the injury list there for a few games. He's gone over in 11 of those 12. He had 5 points in the only time that he went under on this prop here as well, and that was against the Mavs, interestingly, which we really thought he was going to do better, but he ended up playing 7 minutes in that first quarter. It was mostly the shot attempts. He only took 2 shots, and he took 2 free throw attempts, and then he came out a little bit earlier than he normally does in the first quarter. When he stays out of foul trouble, especially in these last 12 games, since he's really been back and fully back up to his full minutes in the first quarter, he has played 6 and 7 minutes once each in these 12, and then all of the rest of them, he has played at least 8 minutes, playing 11 minutes in a couple of them as well. The key thing here is going to be the field goal attempts for him in these last 12. He's up to 5 or 4.8 field goal attempts per first quarter. And we're also talking about 2.2 free throw attempts per first quarter. So with that amount of shots, and two of those are usually are threes as well, making one of those per first quarter. So one of those threes usually gets us there on the points, but it's just an incredible hit rate. Like I said, since he's been back playing normal minutes in the first quarter, going over an 11 of the 12, averaging 9.4 in that time frame, and never getting less than 7. To be honest, other than the one under was the way that went. And I don't know what would change here against a Cavs team that he's still had success with, because he's a shooting big man. And that's going to be a problem for Jared Allen, who does not want to leave the safety and comfort of the paint, where he's obviously that's where he plays defense the best. But that has not worked against Kristaps consistently, who has a couple of threes per game against this Cavs team as well. And that's what I expect in the first quarter. Like, this is hit rate merchant stuff. It's pretty common to have NBA teams get their center involved early to make sure that person feels into the game. I mean, remember Perkins doing that for the longest time with the KG Celtics, right? With Doc Rivers. It was like you could put money on first bucket for Kendrick Perkins every game because you knew the first shot for the Celtics was going to be Kendrick Perkins, until they were like, all right, now we're going to go back to our regular offense. Not quite the case here. Kristaps still very much a part of that, but I love the volume that he's getting in the first quarter and the way that they're feeding him. So I'm going to take him in a good matchup here.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the Celtics forming like Voltron, and Porzingis, he is certainly a big part of that, and I think that's, kind of like unleashing the full arsenal to try to beat this Cavs team, which they've been back and forth with this year, is to say, like, let's feed this man early. Let's draw Jared Allen out. Maybe we can get him out of the game, because all of a sudden we're spacing it out too much and they just can't compete. And then, you get into a small ball game with the Celtics, and they're going to blow you away in that sense. So like the Celtics to win, like Porzingis set the tone here early. I like Kobe White too. 24.5 points plus assists is a better price than just the assist. And I like the 20 points. So let's combine them. 24 plus in 6 of 8 without LaVine this season. So landed on the hook once or twice, but he's right there. His last 4 without LaVine, 21.5 and 5 dimes, up to 29% usage versus 20% usage with LaVine active this year. And you got Lonzo playing significant minutes since Christmas, and that's helped Kobe unlock. I mean, it's helped the Bulls just play a little bit faster. Kobe 21 and 5 when Lonzo's playing with a 25% usage rate. So that's even with LaVine out there. The only other guys above him in terms of like potential assists or playmaking, Giddey and Vooch very much on the trading block right now. Probably not a good matchup against Bam anyways. And in fact, the numbers definitely show that. 105 offensive rating, only 3 assists per game his last 6. So I don't think they're going to be playing through him all that much. Giddey has not been that great against the Heat either. But I mean, either way, it's going to be 2 guys, in terms of Kobe and Giddey handling the bulk of the usage for sure. Like Ayo Dosunmu now walks into more minutes. He's a low usage guy. And this is a Heat team that's actually been very vulnerable against players of his type. So 4th most assists to point guards, 3rd most to shooting guards, Kobe being the combo guard, who's averaged 23, 6, and 6 his last 3 against the Heat. And that was a Heat defense that was actually good. This one is not. You're now dealing with Terry Rozier and the scandals and Tyler Hero playing tons of minutes and usage on the other end. So he's not defending. I think Kobe and the Bulls continue to play hard, and despite the fact that they let LaVine go. Like, they knew he was out the door anyway, but now it's kind of like walking into much bigger usage for a guy like Kobe White, who we saw what he can do last year with more usage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's something to the fun way that Kobe White could command this team. If he needs to take another step, there's no question. But I think at this point, just thrust him into a Trae Young level usage. Just thrust him into it, see what happens. There's nothing against that. Obviously, guys like Dosunmu and Giddey, not necessarily the off-ball partners that you're looking for, but I think you need to put the ball in his hands. Unless you're serious about Giddey and Dosunmu as like legit cornerstones, but they're role players. You have a potential scorer, like every game scorer and primary ball handler potentially in Kobe White, who has increased his abilities every year. He's gotten better every year in the NBA. There's no question around that. And now he's got a wide open lane that he's never had, as DeMar and Zach LaVine left him for Sacramento together at the end, and now it's his squad. So I hope that he steps up here because he's going to have the volume, and that's what we're chasing here as you bet on Kobe White, is chase the volume, man, because he's going to be heavily involved. And the only reason that they're going to involve Vooch at any point in time is so that they can highlight him as a trade piece in the very near future. So yeah, let's keep it going, Kobe. And let's keep it going, Kelly. I'm going to go with Kelly Oubre. A little bit of discrepancy here on the last pick as PJ Washington was ruled out at the last second. But I do think regardless of Embiid's presence here, we can bank on over 23.5 points and rebounds combined for Kelly O. No Paul George is the reason I feel comfortable betting on this with or without Joel Embiid, by the way. If JoJo was questionable and Paul George was for sure playing, wouldn't touch this until I knew what was up with Joel Embiid. But Kelly Oubre is going to be Paul George with Paul George out if Embiid is back. And if Embiid's not back, then we just get a wonderful number at 23.5 for a guy who has been averaging quite a bit more than that over the course of the last roughly 10 games or so. Where in those 10 games, let me make sure I'm missing my numbers up here. He's at 27.5 PR per game, over an 8 of 10 in that time frame. And they have played some teams in that time, Nate. They played the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Cavs, the Nuggets, the Bucks, the Knicks, and the Lakers, who do what you want with that, and the Kings. My point is he has not been playing cupcakes. The 76ers have had a nasty little slate here over the course of their last 10 games or so, with the fifth hardest strength of schedule, and he's still been doing that. You put Embiid in there, and I just want to make everyone feel calm about it, because if you sort of put him in the Paul George role, Paul George is averaging 17 RA per game just off bat, just to show the usage and the touches. Paul George is that dude in that situation. I don't love the assists for Kelly as much as I was when we were getting plus money for over 2.5 without Embiid and anybody out there, which once again, Embiid questionable, not even guaranteed to play by any means. But the rebounds are also what happens for Kelly big time. And Paul George, same thing. But when Joel is out there, they are both a lot more likely to actually get some easy defensive rebounds as Joel's busy dealing with this other center. And that's what we talk about all the time, is that athletic forwards, either on Joel's team or against Joel, are going to be a big factor on the boards when they play against the 76ers with Embiid healthy, because of the sort of gravitational pull that he has, that everything is focused on him. There's going to take more than one dude probably to box out a 295-pound man that's 7'3", right? Who knows how to use his strength down there. So I think that's why I know that's why I like the rebounds for him, which are at 6.5. And I think that should be 7.5. And then as far as the points at 16.5, even with Embiid out there, as long as Paul George isn't out there, as long Caleb Martin, the Martins are questionable. They might impact it, but Caleb Martin still seems to be on about like a 20-minute max at the most. So we can bank on 32 to 36 minutes for Kelly, and he is averaging about 29 PR per 36 when he plays alongside Embiid and Maxey with no Paul George. So love this bet here for Kelly. Glad I could sort of squeeze that one out at the end.
Yeah, you're able to pick off his assists last time, and now that's juiced up. So, yeah, I understand why you're leaving that out. Plus money for 2 threes against a Mavs team that's been awful guarding the corner three in particular lately, and doesn't have PJ. Yeah, that hurts them. So, yeah, I definitely like it, whether Embiid's in or out. I mean, the books are putting 23.5 points up for Embiid, which indicates like they don't expect more than 28 minutes probably in his return if he goes here. So it's not like he's going to totally hijack the offense. So should still be Maxey and Oubre doing plenty of heavy lifting for the Sixers.
Yeah, plenty of touches still available for Kelly Oubre. And if anything, if the defense does collapse on Joel, if he's playing at the top of the key, that's just going to leave imbalanced offense available for guys like Maxey and Oubre playing off of Embiid, and might like the assists for JoJo at that point, to be honest. But that's all the time we have for you in this one. Definitely make sure to subscribe to that page. We've also got a video up with some looks on the sides and totals for you. And until we see you next, happy betting.